Year after year, at the primary school level, we have been teaching the children reading, writing and arithmetic. But in most of the schools, hardly anything is taught in the name of art. This is a neglected area. Art education needs to be given its rightful place in school education for the wholesome development of children's personality. At the primary level, only the 3 R's are not enough for a balanced growth of the children. It is also necessary to enlarge their sensitivity to nature and life. The aim of art education is not to make them into artists. Its objective is to sensitize the students so that they may learn to respond to the beauty in line, color, movement and sound. In fact, arts like painting and drawing are a language, a visual language, as effective as any other language like Chinese, Greek, Bengali, Tamil or Hindi. The deaf and the mute have their own language, a language of gestures, of silent communication. Dance is a language of the body and of movement. Music is yet another language of sound and rhythm. Similarly, there is a language of lines, forms and colors. There are innumerable shades of colors in nature. No written or spoken language can express them adequately in words. We can only express them through the visual language. You must have noticed the traffic signs. They are readily recognized and understood by almost everybody. They are also a language of lines, simple and effective. This is a sign of a level crossing, which we all recognize. But no level crossing looks like this. It is, therefore, important for everybody to learn the visual language. This visual language of art has developed in many cultures all over the world for thousands of years, telling stories, recording, communicating, conveying ideas and emotions. In creating this language, different people have responded to their life and times differently, pictorially recording their hopes and fears, their joys and sorrows. We should also be aware that each child's response to the life around him or her is different. Each child has his or her own unique way of looking at things. The perceptions of the world vary from child to child because each child is a distinct individual. This we must always remember. Some are stimulated by living forms, some by colors, while others by movements. Take them to a park or a zoo, for instance. Take interest in them and study their individual ways of seeing and responding to their environment. Back in the classroom, ask them to recall what they saw. Then, encourage and inspire them to draw what appealed to them most.
राजी, आपने क्या-क्या देखा?
गुब्बारे वाला।
Yes, शिल्पा.
मोर।
किसी ने मोर देखा, किसी ने फूल देखे, सबने अलग-अलग चीजें देखी.
Look at the way they work with different art materials. Observe how the outside world is transformed in the pictures they paint and draw. This child, for instance, finds the balloons floating in the air more interesting than the arm of the balloon seller, and that is the way he has drawn it. Therefore, do not criticize their artwork. Do not label them wrong or incorrect just because their way of expression is different from our way of expression. The artworks of children are different and unique in their own way. How can you tell this child that his drawing of a house is wrong because in addition to the walls, it also shows the people living inside? It is his idea of a house or a home, and he is right. Children paint and draw what they know and not exactly what they see. This basic difference between the adult and the child's point of view should be clearly understood. They visually express their very personal feelings, which an adult may fail to appreciate. For this child, the Golconda Fort is a high wall which makes him feel very small. In this picture, he expresses this feeling of his smallness. On the other hand, this child has been impressed by colors, the reds, the yellows, and the blues. And for this artist, the fort is a baffling maze of walls made of blocks of stones. Each painting is valid in its own right. We may feel that some of their drawings are distorted or disproportionate, but such works may reveal to us the working of the child's mind. In this drawing, for example, the bird is bigger than the well, because to the child, the bird is more important than the well. Thus, what appears to be distortion is a part of the visual language. It expresses the artist's mind, his way of seeing. The child's art reveals the child's world, his fantasy, and his imagination, his own individual way of looking at shapes and forms. In short, his creativity. As a matter of fact, different cultures have developed different ways of looking at human form and the world. For example, one may ask, is this the only way to paint the human form? Is this less human? What about this? This painting is certainly of a man, whereas this is definitely a woman. There are so many ways of representing human form and figures in painting and sculpture. Not one of them can be considered more correct than the others. Differences arise as a result of differences between cultures, mental attitudes, points of view, materials, and mediums. They are fascinating, and they convey the artist's emotions in so many ways. Just like the world of the established artists, the creations of the child artist express the true impressions of their experiences and feelings. To us, these might appear meaningless doodles, but to the child, these are expressions of his innate urges, desires, and, of course, creativity. Different materials, like crayons, help to provide different dimensions to a child's creativity. However, in a rural school, it might not be possible for the children to begin with crayons, which give the child a wide choice of colors and facility of expression. But do not be limited by the availability of formal art materials. You can encourage them to use any material, maybe a piece of brick or a piece of charcoal that leaves an impression on any surface. You will see that the child will readily use such materials to express himself. You can expand the creative opportunities for a child by the imaginative use of locally available materials. Given the resources, you can then introduce the children to more formal art materials such as slate and chalk, crayons, watercolors, etc., and teach them how to use these materials. It is necessary to remember that encouragement is the key word in helping children to express themselves freely. Let them decide what to draw and how to draw it. Extend help only when they seek it. We should not make comparisons between the work of one child and another. They all need encouragement and appreciation. Let them express themselves freely. Let them discover their own creativity. Then alone will children enjoy education in art as they enjoy themselves at play. This does not mean that the teacher has no role to play. The teacher should act as a facilitator and guide the children in the creative use of available materials. For example, turmeric powder or haldi can be used as yellow color. A few blobs of colors on a paper and then folding this paper can create a beautiful design. The child will pick up this simple technique without any difficulty and will be pleasantly surprised with the results. You can similarly make innovative use of thread, color and paper. Dip the thread in color and then use it for spreading the color on a paper. Fold the paper, apply pressure and then pull out the thread. The colors will spread, making a fascinating design on the paper which will be different every time. It is this difference that gives the child a sense of discovery. Have you ever thought of pieces of paper as a medium of art? Crumple a piece of paper, dip it in color, and use it as a stamp to create a design. A series of such impressions will form into a pattern, which is aesthetically appealing and which will also provide a sense of rhythmic arrangement. The use of such non-conventional art materials need not be limited to rural schools. Even in urban situations, vegetables can be used for block printing.
जब हम प्लेन आलू काट लेते हैं तो हमारे पास ये एक ठप्पा तैयार हो जाता है। प्लेन के बाद हम आलू को लेके उसे डिजाइनदार भी काट सकते हैं। सुंदर सा फूल बनाया, सब बच्चे ये देख रहे हैं फूल।
For example, a design can be carved on a potato and after coloring can be used for making symmetrical impressions. The use of such locally available materials helps the child to explore his environment through other materials and mediums, while at the same time it develops in him a sense of symmetry and balance. In the process, the child begins to understand that his capacity for expression is not limited by the availability of formal art materials, because almost any material can be used for creative expression. This helps to demystify the process of artistic creation. As the drawing and the painting skills of the children develop, you can introduce them to the technique of collage making. First, an outline drawing is made on a paper or any surface. Now this drawing is filled up by cutting and pasting materials of different colors. Even leaves and flowers of different colors can be used for making a collage. Unlike a simple drawing, a collage also provides a sense of feel and a sense of touch of the material that the child handles. In fact, leaves, flowers and earth materials of different colors have been the traditional materials of our decorative arts such as Alpana. In most parts of our country, such decorative forms still exist. Therefore, children are exposed to them at a very early stage. These can be gainfully employed in art education at the primary level. Such traditional art forms have another advantage. Instead of being individual activities, these are usually a collective effort. Therefore, through such decorative arts, children learn to collaborate and interact with each other at a creative level. Collages can be made with a wide variety of materials, including waste and colored paper. Here again, remember you are a guide. Your role is to encourage the child in the use of different materials. You should not impose your own ideas of color or forms on the child. Given the imagination and inventiveness, art can be created out of almost anything, including waste materials. You can create different forms out of corn cobs, pine cones, from mango seeds, or even from waste electric bulbs. The world of visual and decorative arts is a vast universe. It is your responsibility as a teacher to create an environment in which a child can float in this universe as freely as his talent can sustain him. Almost all of us have seen a potter's wheel, but not many of us associate the potter's wheel with the art of modeling. Observe how the sensitive fingers of the potter create fascinating shapes and forms out of a lump of clay. Observe the intensity with which the child watches this process. Just as the children naturally express themselves through lines and colors, they also express themselves by creating shapes and forms through clay modeling. Clay modeling differs from the visual arts in one basic respect. It provides the child with a sense of volume. In addition, it heightens the sense of touch of the child. Here again, it is not necessary to depend on formal art materials like plasticine or plaster of Paris. Common clay or mud can be an ideal medium for the children to learn modeling. Apart from visual, decorative and modeling arts, there are performing arts like music and dance, which should be introduced at the primary stage. Almost every child learns to sing nursery rhymes. This is the beginning of the learning process of the art of music.
बच्चे आप आइए, आओ, यहाँ आकर खड़े हो जाओ, आओ सुनो, ये आपको राइम सुनाएगी।
छोटी सी बेटी बिस्तर में लेटी, लेटे लेटे पीती, पीते पीते हंसती, हंसते हंसते रोती, दूध पी गई घटाघट, बेटी बढ़ गई फटाफट।
यहाँ आके बेटे पोएम सुनाओ आप।
ऊपर चंदा गोल गोल, नीचे धरती गोल गोल, पापा का पैसा गोल गोल, मम्मी की रोटी गोल गोल, हम भी गोल तुम भी गोल, सारी दुनिया गोल मटोल।
From nursery rhymes to group singing with the accompaniment of basic instruments such as harmonium, tabla and manjira is a natural progression for the children. It is important for the teacher to always remember that art education at the primary stage is not aimed at creating specific skills. Rather, its objective is to satisfy certain basic learning needs and to develop the creativity of the child. The world of children is different from the adult world, and each child's world is unique. Therefore, the role of the teacher is not that of a critic, but that of a facilitator and of a guide.
काम करेंगे अच्छे अच्छे जग में नाम कमाएंगे, काम करेंगे अच्छे अच्छे जग में हमारा